way. We are not
Buffalo residents are bracing for part 2 of the storm that left them buried under tons of snow. Now it's rain that's on the way.
Let us get that man brought to justice so this can be over.
Tensions are high in Ferguson, Missouri, where people await the grand jury decision on whether to charge the policeman who killed a black teenager this summer. And violent protest in Mexico over the handling of the apparent massacre of 43 students. Hi, and welcome to Humber News. I'm Marlon Gomez, coming to you from our newsroom here at Humber College North Campus. Buffalo residents will be facing twin threats over the weekend. Now that the worst of the snow is over, people are worrying about collapsing roofs and flooding. The region is still paralyzed by historic levels of snowfall. Roads are being reopened, but the governor is still telling people to stay in their homes. 2 more people have died as a result of the weather, and officials say 30 roofs have collapsed because of the weight of the snow. There are fears even more buildings and homes may collapse when the temperatures rise and rain arrives this weekend. The city of Buffalo received as much snow in the past 3 days as it normally gets in 1 year. 12 people have died because of the storm. U.S. President Barack Obama is flexing his presidential powers and taking action to fix the country's immigration system. His plan would make it easier for people living in the U.S. illegally to stay in the country. He says this would mostly affect parents and young people, but not criminals.
There are actions I have the legal authority to take as president, the same kinds of actions taken by Democratic and Republican presidents before me, that will help make our immigration system more fair and more just.
Despite Republican backlash, Obama will be introducing new measures to help immigrants get right with the law. In order to be eligible, people must have lived in America for more than 5 years. They must also register, pass a criminal background check, and be willing to pay taxes. Obama's actions could be reversed by a new president in the future. The city of Ferguson, Missouri is bracing for the worst as people there wait for a grand jury decision expected by the end of the month. Riot police and protesters have been clashing for the last 2 nights outside the Ferguson police station. The city of Ferguson is nervously awaiting the decision on whether to charge Officer Darren Wilson in the slaying of 18-year-old Michael Brown. The August 9th killing of the black teen by a white officer led 2 weeks of protests that often turned violent. 400 troops from the National Guard have been called in to back up the police ahead of the decision. At least 2 protesters were arrested in the latest demonstration. Thousands of protesters are facing off with police in Mexico City's main square again. They're outraged over the suspected massacre of 43 students in September. With Molotov cocktails and sticks in hand, thousands of people took their protest to the National Palace. Riot police beat them back and held their ground. Other parts of Mexico have been shaken by similar demonstrations. Protesters say corrupt police turned the students over to the drug lords who had them killed. Ukrainians are making the first anniversary of the protest that brought down former President Viktor Yanukovych last year. Flowers and candles were placed in remembrance of the 100 protesters killed during clashes with the police. President Petro Poroshenko visited the monument to pay his respects. Some of the mourners were angry with him for not doing enough to recognize the lives lost. Conflict between Ukraine and pro-Russian separatists have killed more than 4,000 people. To the Middle East now, where 4 Palestinians have arrested Israeli authorities on suspicion of an assassination plot. The alleged target, Foreign Minister Avigdor Lieberman. Israel's intelligence service says 3 of the detainees are members of Hamas. It says the 4 Palestinians carried out surveillance on Lieberman's convoy and tried to obtain rocket-propelled grenade. Israel says the plot has hatched during the Gaza war in July and August. Closer to home here at Humber, a warm, delicious meal awaited students downstairs just outside the Humber room. Our reporter Marielle Torrefranca has the details.
With an early winter upon us, there's nothing quite like a warm cup of soup. And the hallways of Humber smelled like home sweet home thanks to the Humber Room's charity soup fundraiser. Students had the chance to pick from 2 flavors, minestrone and butternut squash.
The soup is basically, we collaborated in making a butternut squash soup, a little infused with curry flavor. And our minestrone is 100% vegetarian, gluten-free. And we just added some cheese to it, Parmigiano Reggiano, for extra flavor as well.
All it costed was some spare change, $2 for a cup and $4 for a container, and a free cashew tart was even thrown into the package. And while students could fight off the cold outside with a warm meal, they could take comfort in the fact that it was all for a good cause.
It's a donation to the United Way, which serves their community. So, all the services that they give to people, they help you, with anything that you need, clothes, food, setting up a person's, beds. They help the people who are homeless, people who are needy. So it's a good cause, and we're happy to support it.
Charity events aren't a new thing for the Humber Room, so if you missed your chance today, the next one probably isn't too far off. Mariel Torrey-Franca, Humber News.
When we come back, we'll tell you what's happening in the world of sports, and Danielle Strom will have your 3-day forecast.
We'll see some precipitation this weekend, but it won't be snow. I'll have all your details after the break.
But first, in New York City, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas at Macy's. The department store giant has unveiled its latest Christmas-themed windows at its flagship store. This year, the lavish displays feature a journey to outer space.
Uranus and Neptune are known as the ice giants because they are the coldest of all.
Americans begin shopping for the holidays in late November, with Black Friday kicking off holiday sales. This year, Black Friday falls on November 28th.